I think that's hilarious. Guys, we'll rock and roll here on the Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith with Keith Smith.
Yeah, no wonder, huh?
Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Keith Smith, how you feeling, my friend?
I got to get my microphone in front.
Judah could have set up that one time. Hey, Keith, put your microphone. Judah's got his in front of him. Look at that.
Hey, Judah.
Viewers and listeners, give the show a like and a share. We have entertainment, enlightenment, and education on Real Talk with Keith Smith. Show number what?
612.
612 editions of Real Talk with Keith Smith. I sit across a A-plus individual. A-plus individual. Viewers and listeners, give the show a like and a share. If you have questions, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Keith, before we start the program, how are you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling great. Coffee's kicked in. We are on the last day of having our grandson with us. And
how's it been so far?
You know, I'm sorry he's leaving, man.
Oh, that's great. Good to hear.
Yeah, we kind of we kind of got into a rhythm. You know, the first 24, 48 hours, it took a little bit of, okay, you know, we're 60-something-year-old college students, right? And got, you know, wine, coffee, and milk is pretty much what we've got in our refrigerator, and we needed to change it up a little bit. But he's just like the coolest dude ever. We had a photo shoot for the company yesterday, you know, headshots, that kind of thing, over at the Eastwood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Really, I like
the
that
winery?
place. I like that place.
Yeah.
A little bit of interesting history there if you don't know it. The original building actually was built by Jefferson. I found out yesterday. But that might have been the wine. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, so, you know, he was just like super mellow, you know, interacting with the adults because the adults were there. And it's just, you know, he's a cool kid. I'm going to miss him.
I want to hear that story. Andre Xavier, hello. Johnny Ornalis, hello. Travis Hackworth, hello. Nate Kibler, hello. Kevin Yancey, hello. Albert Graves, Dean Russell, Kyle Irvin, Carol Thorpe, Harold Hertz, the real estate investor, Ray Cadell, welcome to the program. Katie Pearl, Seth Liskey, the Stantonian real estate investor, Daniel Kaufman, Stephanie Wells Rhodes, welcome to the broadcast. We're going to have a lot of fun on a Friday in Charlottesville.
There may be some snacks had, too.
I love snacks. I'm a huge fan of snacks. Judah
What's your favorite snack?
I love charcuterie. Like you give me
Yeah, we consider that a snack.
Well, no, that's not a snack. But if my favorite snack is probably something salty, like a sour cream and onion or a cheddar and sour cream. I'm a huge fan of Pringles. The only problem with Pringles is once you pop, you can't stop. That entire container of Pringles is devoured. I can eat a whole thing of Pringles in one setting.
So that's where age shows up.
Yeah.
At your age, you can probably burn it off real quickly. At my age, even I'm riding an hour a day on my bike. If I have like 3 Pringles, it adds a pound.
No.
It does.
You're slimming. 3 Pringles. You just left over there. All right, let's rock and roll, J-Dubs.
If you reach a certain age, you just can't lose it. I don't know how much.
Bob Shada said yesterday he was genuinely sweating, Judah, watching you in a sweater yesterday. We can rock and roll when you're ready there.
Yeah, that was a bit hot yesterday.
Reminder that I'm inside most of the day.
Show is yours, J-Dubs.
Oh, we're supposed to. That's right.
Quiet on the set.
Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. We are live in downtown Charlottesville on I don't want to call it gloomy, overcast? On an overcast Friday, but the air is cool, the air is crisp, and there's not an ounce of humidity in the air, and you think there's humidity?
It's raining.
There's no humidity. It's not raining right now. It's not raining.
It was drizzling when I was walking in the studio.
It's raining? And would you quantify?
All I know is because my hair is frizzy. That's the reason I...
Would we quantify the rain as humidity?
It's water.
I know, by definition, but folks, would they describe it as humidity? Rain?
I'm sure people are way smarter than me have the actual thing, but for my little world, if it's raining, it's humid out.
Viewers and listeners, Judah Wickhauer, that we might weave him into the mix. Would you quantify
Well,
rain
thank
as
God we
humidity?
don't have a topic for today.
Viewers and listeners. Anyway, I love this kind of weather.
And I interrupted your intro.
I don't mind if you do. It's Real Talk with Keith Smith. You're the executive producer.
Really?
I don't mind this type of weather. I don't mind this type of weather at all. A lot we're going to cover on the program, including some important news with Fannie and Freddie when it comes to commissions.
Yeah.
That actually broke during Real Talk with Keith Smith on Wednesday.
It did.
Logan Wells Clayla, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you kindly for joining us.
Kind of knew that was coming. I had some folks that I know that are in senior positions there that said, watch out, it's coming.
Yeah. Keith Smith, my friend, where do you want to begin?
I would love to know the formal definition of humid, if rain actually counts as humidity. But it probably doesn't.
I've got it here. When it rains, it will increase the relative humidity because of the evaporation. The air where the rain is falling may not be completely saturated with water vapor. However, the longer it rains, the more the humidity will increase because of the air constantly drawing the water.
So I'm just a simple Marine. Is that a yes or a no?
That means there's going to be some humidity in the air when
So
it's
if it's
raining.
raining, there's humidity in the air.
To some extent.
To some extent.
So Judah.
Trying to
That's
get a yes or
I
a no.
know. I love Judah dearly, but that's quintessential Judah right there.
I have to do a little bit of a shout out. Both of them
I'm gonna come
asked-
over. Are you still on a 3-shot?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to give you a hard time.
Oh, look at all the love on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
I'm trying to give him a hard time.
After how many years?
13 and
Yeah,
change.
he doesn't. He has this ability. I was watching this early. He has this ability just to tune everything out.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah, God
The-
bless.
the-
That is an absolute God gift that you have there. My ADD, squirrel would take
The
over.
most mellow guy out there, Jason Howard on Rio Road. Welcome to the broadcast. Loving what he's seeing. Thank you for watching the program. Keith Smith, I know something's on that brain over there.
Yeah, so they did not want to have their names mentioned, and I have to respect that. But I just want to talk about how awesome my clients are. I had one client give me this tie that's got old-timey kind of bicycles on it. And then another client watched our show on Wednesday and dropped off at my office 5 crayons for me to eat as a snack because he felt that I looked a little bit thin and pale and I needed a little bit of a
Who
snack.
eats the crayons on Sesame Street, or is it the Muppets?
No, that's Cookie. That's Cookie Monster.
No, I know Cookie Monster. Isn't there
That eats crayons?
There's one that eats crayons.
It's probably a Marine.
One of them. You looking that up for us, J Dubs? One of them. It's either Sesame Street or the Muppets eats
Somebody
crayons.
probably would want us to talk about the real estate.
We'll
at
talk
some
real
point.
estate. Interstate Service Company, a home's best friend. Interstate Service Company, ISC is who you should call. Donna Price, we love you. Thank you for watching the program. Peter Krebs of the Piedmont Environmental Council, Capas and Chico. Jehu Martin, Mr. Belmont, watching the program. And of course, Christelle, one of the queens of Lake Monticello on the broadcast, as is John Neal, the commercial broker. Do you want to go the commission news?
We are going to go to that. Slide number 2, my friend.
You're just going to put that on screen?
So there's 2 things that we're looking at on slide number 2 is, thank you, brother. The 2 giants, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mae, which are the, which are the 2-ton elephants in the room as far as lending goes. Basically, and I'm going to paraphrase it, is basically said, we're not going to include commissions as interested party contributions. So in other words, they're going to let regular transactions move along where the seller can pay the buyer broker commission. The next steps are going to be, and we've been talking about this for a while, you're going to start seeing them in contracts, right? We're working with with Bill Tucker and 2 other attorneys to draft an addendum that's going to attach to our contracts hopefully next month so that it's clear and to the point. So 70% of all the loans let me rephrase that. 70% of all the conventional loans nationwide are dealt with Fannie and Freddie. So what Fannie and Freddie does As those two-ton elephants move, everybody else will move along. I think the one that's probably going to come the latest to the party would be the veterans, the VAs. It's just, that's a federal process, and it takes a little bit of bureaucracy to get through. But we called it. We said that this was going to happen. It's happening. I think the next thing you're going to see is, like the commercial deals, compensation in the contracts.
Maggie Gunnels, welcome to the broadcast. How are you, Maggie Gunnels? Thank you for watching the program. After this news broke on Wednesday's talk show, during Real Talk with Keith Smith on Wednesday, I noticed a lot of agents breathing a sigh of relief.
Well, I think as we move this along, right, and we've been talking about this from day one, right? There's going to have to be changes, and these changes are going to come. And we've been talking about, we basically got a delta between like 5 weeks ago when it was announced, and we're going to talk about how the commissions on the buyers, what sellers are offering buyer agents here in a minute. I got a slide on that we were going to do every Friday. Somewhere between now and July, when it happens, there's going to be certain things kicking in. This is kind of the first one. From the state of Virginia, we're in a unique position because since 2012, buyer brokers were required. A percentage of the country doesn't, so that will fix that problem, so it's uniformed around the country. The big thing is just, it's going to get split, it's going to get decoupled. Keith is going to have to call Jerry if he's on the other side and say, hey, what are his clients offering? So, those that are, the pros will just float to the top. We've been saying this from day one. So I think those who have been paying attention, this is maybe a half of a sigh of relief, not quite a full sigh of relief, but it's clearly a step in the right direction.
I think the next step we have to follow is how the VA responds. Fannie and Freddie do most of the...
let's...
Please.
I think that's... Thinking this was going to come up, it's a lot of information on a slide, but if you wouldn't put slide 3 on, if you don't mind.
I understand the VA is a small percentage of loan business. Fannie and Freddie, the large chunk of loan business. I get that. But still, veterans deserve the same. I mean, I'm sitting across from a veteran, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. That should have been the first one.
Should have been the first one, the VA.
Hands down. Hands down.
Right.
First one. But it's a bureaucratic process. It'll take a little longer, as a disabled vet myself, I get it 100%. It should have been done. But from a numbers perspective, if you're looking at the market overall, slide number 3 shows all the solds. Thank you, brother. All the solds in this from year to date, right? It's a lot of data, but the short answer to it is out of 690 transactions, 38 of them were VA. Only 4 of them were VHDA, by the way. The bulk of them were either cash at 215, and then the conventional fix was just 345. So there was a 345 sales, and out of 7, using the national numbers, 70% of those are Freddie or Fannie, right? And I have to ask you to talk for a second. I got to do something here real quick.
Absolutely. Happy to talk. Do what you need to do if you have to step off stage.
No. My left hearing aid died, so I need to shut it off because it's talking to me. Hearing aid is dead. Hearing aid is dead.
Totally get it. So viewers and listeners, we're following news. I mean, the news is breaking right here. The news for this region starts on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
We just follow it, right? We follow it intently, and we have the ability to do this.
You have the platform.
We're fortunate enough. I'm fortunate enough to have this ability and this opportunity to do that.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll relay it live on air. This is a comment that's come in that we are all following. The rates are jumping again.
Man, yeah.
Affordability is now. I mean,
worse.
We can make a legitimate argument that the affordability at this point may be the worst in American history.
Yeah. So this announcement by Fannie and Freddie Freddie will kind of help the first-time home buyer a little bit, right? Because, typically, that does, FHA consisted of 50 of the 690 sales year to date, right? So, FHA are usually a first-time home buyer. There's a couple of other, like rural. I mean, there's only 2 USDA rural. Remember that whole hoopla that we had about changing the parameters of it? There's only 2 out of 690. So the bulk of them are going to be in the 345 number. So the fact that they don't have, if they're using a Freddie or Fannie product, they don't have to come up with that extra cash is helping. The other side of the coin is we just don't have enough, right? We're not building enough. The 5%, 5%, which is the development area in Albemarle County. It's just, I think I mentioned this on Wednesday. We've just
Did that come up at the Free Enterprise Forum event from yesterday? I'm sorry I missed that, Neil Williamson.
Yeah, I also missed it, Neil.
Oh, you did?
And he knows that. I texted him. Our photo shoot didn't end
It ran long?
Till 6:30, and we needed to get a little 5-year-old dinner and in bed.
What'd you take him to dinner?
Apparently, wine and cheese is
Not dinner for a
what
5-year-old?
you're supposed to feed.
Where'd you guys go? Happy Meal?
No. Believe it or not, he loves pasta. So we went home and made a little bit of pasta, and he was supposed to be. Oh, I don't know. My daughters watch this. Hold it. I'll cover the mic. He was supposed to be in bed at 7.
He's supposed to stay up late with Grandma and Grandpa.
That may not have happened until 9. I don't think there's video proof of it. So I'm going to stick with he was in bed by 7.
And you're doing your best, what does he call it? Pappy? What's he call you?
Pop Dad.
Pop Dad. Pop Dad is driving him to D.C. today?
Soon as we've got a hard stop at 11:30, we're going to, Yona and him are, the poor kid has to go to a doctor's appointment for Yona. And it's a specific type of woman doctor, so this is going to be fun for him to go through. But then we're going to pick him up and drive up to D.C. to put him on a plane. It's going to be a train at 3 o'clock.
Kevin Yancey's talking about the commission splits on land versus residential. And he says, does this change the land differential that exists now? And I responded to him in the comments, all commissions are negotiable. There's no set rate.
But Kevin's been around long enough to know it's very interesting. When I first got into the business, land transactions, again, they're always negotiable, but it would not be uncommon to see that at a 10 to 12% commission split, total commission, that it would get split into different things. And the reason it was, land wasn't what it is now, right? You were buying lots at 10 grand, right, or 5 grand or 6 grand, particularly at Lake Monticello. So the percentages were higher because that's what the market demanded at the particular time.
Jason Howard, I'm seeing articles all over the place about rates going over 7% for a 30-year. They're certainly over 30%. They're creeping to 8, in fact, Jason. Do you think we will see 4% at any point this year or even 5?
No,
Absolutely not. I don't think so either.
No,
but let's talk about the impact of rates that high. In fact, Deep Throat has sent a chart on my DMs, Judah, that we'll put on screen. This is from Redfin.
I'm just going to follow your lead because I won't look at it.
Absolutely. In fact, would you like me to send it to you?
If you could text it to me, that would be great.
Yeah, I can do that. In fact, this is let me get it. Judah, you get it from my Twitter DMs. This is literally on the fly right here. Send this to Keith. Keith, it is going to be on your phone if you want to pull that out right now.
So the reason I can't watch the show live, it's got that 10-second
10-second delay, yeah.
Which just freaks with my ADD.
Oh, it messes with everybody. I mean, even folks that are doing like CNBC and some of the national broadcasts don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that delay is even longer on national. But that chart's on your phone right now.
Thank you.
Judah, let us know when we can put this Redfin chart on screen.
Oh, I've seen this before.
So this is a chart from Redfin. Deep Throat says this. He goes, this is a scary chart. It does not even take into account the galloping increase in property taxes all over the United States and the surge in insurance rates.
Well, that's back to the point that I can't recite the exact number, but it's a 6-figure number that you have to make just to afford the average priced home, right?
Which is in the 4s.
And back to
Throat.
I realize his name is Deep Throat, but it's always hard for me to say that. Back to your source, how's that sound?
Yes.
That, the AMI did a huge jump in 4 or 5 years, right? Right. So 4 or 5 years ago, it was considerably less. I don't remember the number, but it was probably somewhere in the high 70s, low 80s pre-pandemic, and it's just skyrocketed up. But look, they're coming here, right? We've got a few listings. Every phone call I'm getting to show these listings, and these are a couple of, in the normal price range, and then $1 million plus. They're all coming from Northern Virginia. I mean, I have not received a phone call that people are doing lateral moves, right? They're all coming from outside the area. Back to what I love about this decoupling. So how do I know that? Is because
It's on screen?
It's ready.
Okay.
thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So we're having conversation with agents and tell me about your buyer. They're saying, tell me about your seller, right? And we're having these conversations. Go ahead.
But let's put the chart on screen.
Yeah.
You break it down. Tell us what you're seeing here.
Yeah. So I mean, in simple.
This is Redfin.
Yeah.
You got some agents watching the program.
So in simple terms, it's kind of what we've expected, right? Prices are coming, and that's the point I was trying to make, is affordability is going up. I'm passionate about housing affordability, right? I've been working diligently at it, but man, it's almost, if not impossible, becoming extremely impossible. I'll put a perspective to it.
Please.
In order for an 80% AMI buyer right now in our region, based on our new AMI,
And explain what 80% AMI is.
so that's 80% of the area median income. The number changes by the number of folks in the house, right?
Okay.
But in big terms and bigger pictures of it, in order for a buyer to buy a home and hit this 80% area median income, the sales price maximum is $250. I mean, that's really stretching it out that way. You're really somewhere between the $215 and the $225 number. So just somebody do a quick search and find out what the hell's available at $250 and under. There ain't. Right? That's why.
Maybe some condos.
Yeah, but then the condo fees and all that kind of great stuff in it, and some people don't want it. There may be one or two on it. We just put on we meaning the land trust had a first resale at $250. Put it under contract last night, which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
Well, a young single mom is moving on, and a young single mom is coming in. It's an absolutely awesome feeling to help folks do that. I had 100 in a matter of a week. I had 150 phone calls. 150 phone calls from agents, direct buyers that we had to walk through the process, and it funneled down to this one particular buyer. But it was just, if I had 150 of those, I would have been able to sell all 150.
Cully Baggett, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for watching the show right now. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll relay them live on air. We appreciate Juan Sarmiento watching the show. Where's it located? Was it Lake Monticello?
No, it was in Spring Hill Village. It was a new construction, Stanley Martin. If those who've been watching the show know we put about 23, 24 of them about 2 years ago. This is a resale, right? The young mom is reselling it and moving out of state for an awesome job, and is going to move up the housing ladder. Going to walk away with $35,000 cash in her pocket, and she's buying a market-ready home up in Michigan, which we're helping her buy. Actually,
We give props to El Mariachi and Zion's Crossroads.
Yeah.
One of the best restaurants out there. El Mariachi and Zion's Crossroads.
It
Consider
is.
them for dinner tonight.
and when we're coming from Richmond, the truck always makes that right-hand turn.
Keith loves tacos. Keith loves tacos.
That is not the tacos.
What is it?
It's the margaritas.
Oh, the margaritas are quite good
but,
too.
But the tacos are helpful.
Kevin really wants you to highlight the land contract that's out there and how this could potentially impact commission splits tied with land and what's historically, he says, a 10% number. I
Well,
responded.
no.
with
We're back at normal rate. So that number back at 10% was in the 80s and the 90s, right? We are now
Yeah.
we're now at the 5 to 6 split kind of percentage. It's a contract. Unless I'm missing something, it just functions no different. The really only big difference between a land-only contract and a regular purchase contract,
Because there's no house on it.
well, it's literally called that unimproved property, is the feasibility study period, right? You don't typically see that in a residential contract. There's other contingencies in it, like home inspections and so forth and so on. But there's a feasibility study in it. So I deal in this world at the big level. You know, we're talking 400, 500, 600 unit subdivisions, and then one lot with a house on it. And generally, you've basically with the feasibility study, you got at your sole discretion, which is a super important term. If you don't like it, or it can't do what you want to do on it, you terminate the contract. You get your deposit back.
Our prices stabilizing has been put on the feed right here.
Nah, they're going up.
That's what I said. This comment, I've noticed normal pricing on the Shenandoah Valley side of real estate. For example, a city of Waynesboro, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,500 square feet, on 3/4 of an acre at a $359,000 listing. What's the deal with pricing around here? And my response is they're continuing.
Yeah,
to
so
escalate.
I have not dug too much into the other side of the mountain quarterly stuff. I focused on this side of it. I could tell you on this side of it because we covered this a couple of days at the
talked about it on Wednesday too.
And we covered it at the end of the quarter. The car footprint, the volume of sales were down 8%, but the price was up 9%. Certain jurisdictions kind of pivoted up and down a little bit on it, but for the big footprint, that's what we did. I think at the 6-month mark, you're going to see everybody across the board with price increases. The percentages may change. I think you might see the volume get flat, if not go pop up a little bit. Homes are trading. Homes are going under contract at a pretty decent clip right now compared to January and February. So I think you're going to see those numbers reverse, definitively flat. I think you're going to see a slight increase over the same first 6 months of last year.
This was an interesting comment made to me yesterday by a pretty significant real estate investor who owns some trophy properties around Charlottesville and Albemarle. And he made the argument in the comment that a lot of times the time to buy is when rates are high because you have limited competition, if you can afford it, because you have less competition in the pool.
In a normal world, so, right, where always matters, right? Micro where matters even more, right? Under normal market conditions, pre-pandemic, somewhere after we got out of the time of great unpleasantness and the market started getting normal again, which took years after that, I would agree with that. If interest rates were spiking at that point, the normal thing is homes, it becomes a great opportunity if you've got cash to buy. It's just no inventory. And to put this into perspective, prior to the time of great unpleasantness, 2006, 2007, depending on what version you follow on the starting date, to somewhere between 2009 and 2010 was that block of time. Prior to that, we were putting out as a country about 2 million new construction units a year. And it dropped down to 200, 300, 400 for like a decade. And we are, as we stand right now, depending on who you read, anywhere between 4 and 8 million. I know it's a huge number, short, just to break even, right? And
that's bananas.
And who's coming up behind us boomers or in the market right now? Your
Gen Zers.
Your millennials.
Young millennials.
And your Gen Zers, right? And they are coming in such a pace of the family formation ages, whatever that means, on it. And, they're going to need housing. I mean, to go back to my land trust sale that we put together, the young woman, young mother, single mother who was buying it, it requires a lot of time, right? You've got to, because you just got to be patient and over communicate with them. And the light bulb went on when we said, okay, well, this is how much, if you get a mortgage, yada, 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 this is what your monthly payment is. And I said, so what's your rent? It was the same amount as the mortgage payment. And I said, and you know what the secret to this is? One, you're going to make some money at the back end. And guess what you just beat?
Inflation.
You just beat inflation.
Yeah.
Because she says, I just got a notice that my rent's going up $200 next, July 1 or whatever it was when she moves in.
Mustache Dan Pettit watching the program. We love Dan. He has some comments for you. I'm going to respond to his comment. He says this. So how does the extra paperwork and more time to get to settlement with the new processes in July?
No, I don't see that.
You don't see that?
No, it'll be more on the front end of it. It's not on the back end of it. It'll be on the front end of it.
He also asked, how does credit score figure into all this?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. We talked about this in a previous show. As far as your rate goes, it could be, if your credit score is stellar,
Yeah.
right, then you get what's out there. Whatever you see in the news, that's assuming you've got a stellar credit rate. As your credit rating goes down, that interest rate goes up.
Right.
And by the way, we got to bring Jeremy Rowe back on, because there's some things happening in the home
insurance
world that's going to impact the market also, and we really need to talk about that. Like, for instance, if you're buying a house and it's got only like 5 years of roof life left in it, your rate's going to go higher, way higher on it. The other thing is your credit score big time impacts your interest, how much you pay on
homeowners insurance.
Thank you.
Homeowners insurance.
Thanks.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll relay them live on air. Do you think Augusta County is ripe right now? Ripe for possibilities and potential?
Yeah, it always was, right? I think maybe, and I haven't looked at it, so I'm shooting from the hip here. I think if Augusta and Waynesboro are stabilizing, right? I really don't think they are, but if they are, it could be that price point that the buyer's in, that sub 400 price point, where a quarter point of mortgage kicks them out of the market, right? Or maybe their credit score isn't exactly right, and that quarter point grows to a half a point higher than everybody else. That could be impacting that specific market, but that is purely, look at this, I'm going to say a big word, conjecture on my part.
Oh, conjecture, Judah Wickower.
I think the show's over.
George Costanza high note.
So that's pure conjecture on my part. I could probably shut up and do a quick analysis for you if somebody would.
Do you have a slide to offer, if you may?
I do. I have another slide.
Well, that was a joke on conjecture, but yes, we should get to your other slide over here. Absolutely. We should create a slides of the big words. Was it one of your clients? The adjective?
I actually was talking about Trevor and Mona Daniels. If you could. Daniel, thank you. If you could do that, because when we came home, because the shoot was at Eastwood, we came home the back way through 618 and Blenheim and stuff like that, and which is a great ride. If anybody ever has
beautiful ride.
Yeah, I do. That's one of my bike rides. It's a gorgeous ride. But yeah, she would do the adjective game. She had laminated words, and I was supposed to add them to her. And I purposely kept Mona away from my Yvonne.
Your daughter?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the two of them
would team up against you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You haven't mentioned her recently with her real estate journey?
Top secret stuff might be changing the end of today.
Okay.
So I want that. I want her.
It's hard to make. Okay.
I want that story for her to tell.
Fantastic.
Not
Fantastic.
for me. Look at that. I'm learning.
I'd see that. You handled that extremely well.
Slide number 1. Right. We've been talking about, what'll happen to what sellers are offering buyer's agent. And so what's the slide on there is a day-over-day run from when this started on March 15, and this is as of close of business last night, as of midnight of last night. Short version of it, 67% are offering 3%. The next highest one is 2.5%. So I wrote it down. Hold on a second. Last year,
I love these slides. I
love-
love these slides.
I left the card in my book bag, but I believe last year the total number of percentage offered to buyers on an average was 2.87. We're kind of hovering right at that right now. So, look, I'm in the camp that as of July, this is not going to have any impact on
You've said that.
numbers. Back to Dan's point, all this is going to do is I've got to be better on the front end.
And it's going to shrink the realtor pool.
I'm not,
I think it's going to.
I up and down on that, right?
You wavering on that, Sarah
Well,
Hilton-Chensky? Welcome to the
it's
show.
not that I'm wavering on it, but this thing that Fannie and Freddie announced kind of made it easier, right? Right? If Fannie and Freddie didn't do that, you would have to be kind of really outside of the box to figure out how to do this. Now, basically, on those deals, all we got to do is include it in the contract, and it's done. It moves on just like every other normal transaction up until this point. What's going to require is I've got to prove my value prop to the buyer. I've got to be very transparent about it. And I'm going to jump to an article that I read about the transparency here in a minute, just while I was outside before I came into the studio. And the third thing is how to communicate with your client, with the other side. This isn't going to be emails. This is going to be text. You're actually going to have to talk to people. And that freaks people out. People do not like to talk to people. People do not like to talk on the phone. I've never been hindered by that.
What are you doing over there? You doing a deal?
I'm working on a deal for somebody.
Okay. This is something that you've been on top of from the get-go, right?
What am I?
The commissions, the decoupling.
What am I? Okay, thanks.
Distracted Keith over there.
Contacts.
Squirrel.
Contacts.
Yeah.
There's no squirrel. Okay, there's a squirrel. Yeah. I mean, look, I am beyond blessed. I have like Yona that, she just does so much and allows me to be me. And since 2019, I just put myself in the right room with the right people. And this may find hard to believe, but actually shut up and listened. It happens. So that's all. And I'm able to go ahead and spit it out.
New construction. Are we seeing any?
No, but thank you. My squirrel went back. So I've got to try to find this article back to the transparency and communication. There was an article I read outside that Builder Magazine, as a recovering builder.
I know Builder Magazine.
Yeah. So they said in an article that I was reading that some 60%, 70% of the buyers did not know that the builder was paying the buyer broker commission. Now that's nationwide. Again, in Virginia, that's really a non-issue because 2012, in order to get to the table and close, there's got to be the buyer broker agreement in there. Donna Patton, who is our compliance officer, will not allow a check to go out the door unless there's a buyer broker agreement attached to it. So it's really not a non-issue in Virginia. It was more a national thing. But folks are just going to have to be communicative. Help me out.
You just have to communicate a bit better.
There you go.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, much like I do. They need to use very fancy big words that throw them off the whole day.
Are we seeing, this is a question that has come up on previous shows. Are we seeing the industry start migrating from an age standpoint downward as your colleagues are retiring? Are we seeing younger agents filling their spots, or are we seeing those spots go unfilled?
I'm not so sure there's spots, right, to fill so much. Look, I think the number's 57 is the average age of a car agent. I may have that 1 or 2 years off, but it's for sure north of double nickels, right? Look, I hope younger people like Yvonne come into the business. We need some young blood. It's not that the people that are ancient like myself aren't good. We kind of need us in it to help us temper, that's been around and saw a bunch of up and downs and know not to panic and so forth and so on. But young blood is always good in an industry, right? It's always good, and it brings a new perspective. We get to think, us of a certain age, get to look at things from a different perspective and get better. I find every conversation I have with a younger agent, I offer some help, but I also get a little smarter.
This one, interesting one. I have seen this on social media. What's with the new Real brand that's coming in?
Yeah, so
they're publicly traded.
They're publicly traded. I don't know much about them,
Okay.
but it's kind of like a Redfin, EXP kind of model. I don't know enough about them to talk semi-intelligently about it.
This question's for you from.
I'm trying to give an Augusta County number for everybody.
Dan says, how low do you think it'll go with new construction commissions from builders?
That's a great question. I actually think it's going to go up.
You do. To encourage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clients to build.
Absolutely. I can't say who, but I've had discussions with a couple of regional and national senior leadership, and if you go ahead and Google it, out in like Pulte and some of the higher dollar folks are actually starting to add in bonuses to do that. So they're trimming down there's like 5.5% mortgage deal. They're trimming that down a little bit, and they're putting a little bit more incentive out there. If I was in the building world again, that's what I'd be doing.
That makes sense.
Sure as heck I'd be doing.
We saw a similar strategy utilized during the time of great unpleasantness, where you saw commissions actually go up.
Yeah, well, that's because nobody was buying.
No one was buying.
Right? And
there's encouragement.
Yeah, I remember builders saying, "You see that Mercedes in there? That comes with the house."
Yeah, well, and I also remember during that time, because interestingly, that is when I purchased one of my properties, which was a good time. 7% and 8% commissions being offered to buyers' reps.
Oh yeah, sure.
Which is a nice chunk of money.
I think it's a nice chunk of money. I'm trying to get our folk on the other side a number here real quick, on the other side of the hill.
We'll highlight realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Click the Partners tab, and you'll see all the folks that have been personally vetted by Keith Smith, like Charlottesville Settlement Company and like Fincham and Associates. Woody Fincham is a good man. He's joined us on the program in the past. Keith navigating Paragon in real time. I see comments on the mortgage rates increasing and escalating, and frankly, I just don't see it impacting really. It'll impact some, perhaps on the lower level, but we're seeing properties still move in this car footprint, which is promising.
So, ready?
Yeah.
Augusta County.
Yeah.
Single family detached. Hang on 1 second. I want to make sure I've got new construction in this. So this is everything. Single family detached, Augusta County, 2024 year to date. So that is from January 1 to 4/19. 165 have sold. Yep, have sold. 13 days on market. 325K was the median. Same time, 2023. So that's January 1 to 4/19. Guess what? Less were sold, 146. Days on market was less, 8. Sales price was 319. Not a huge, I didn't do the percentage, not a huge uptick?
No.
But uptick nonetheless, right? Well, what's 1%? 1% is 3, right? So, yeah, it's a few percentage points. I'd have to do the math. I'm not sharp enough to do that. So it's not going down, it's going up. And what's impressive is we're up in sales. Remember, the car footprint is down 8%. So we're up exactly 20 sales year over year on that. So that's
Which is a reflection of expensiveness.
it's the 325.
Which is, yeah,
It's
exactly.
the number.
It's a reflection of how expensive
Well-
Albemarle and Charlesville are.
Yes and no. Or as my Pakistani...
Maybe yes, maybe no yes.
Maybe yes, maybe. We haven't done that in a while. Maybe yes, no, maybe no yes. They also are building more over there, right? You know, let's take a look at... Yeah, they're building more there. There's more development happening over there. There's more new construction happening over there than it's happening on this side at this price point, right? So anyway, I think that one can look to that as a reflection of how new construction helps.
Well said, Keith Smith. I had this conversation with a commercial agent yesterday over at your coffee shop. Is it Lone Light that you prefer?
It's much like ice cream. If it's got coffee in it, I like it. I'm not a Starbucks fan, though.
And he
I
was-
will say that publicly.
He was He was highlighting the 81 corridor
Yeah.
is oozing with potential,
Yeah,
especially
so
with Yunkin continuing to push economic development.
yeah, it's we're in this whole because we're the number one place to move in the state of Virginia. Commercial in our footprint, and you and I do enough of it to say this, is pretty good. Multifamily also is pretty good. Multifamily, I'm talking about from the business side of it, maybe not from the people that have to pay the rent. Rent in other parts of the country are starting to stabilize a little bit, right? Because they've overbuilt this multifamily. We were up in the King of Prussia a couple of weeks ago visiting Yaz, and the community that they're in had, well, the building we were in had 500 units. There was 6 500-unit luxury apartments, the luxury apartment units, 6 of them with 500 apiece. This was a huge complex. A 1-bedroom, because I know what my daughter's paying, a 1-bedroom in this luxury. Now, it has, the first level has a restaurant in it, it has free coffee in it.
It's beautiful.
You know, it has a 200-seat movie theater in it. You know, it's designed for this Zoom thing. You never leave it. You work and live, work, play thing on it.
Yeah.
It's $5 a month for a 1-bedroom unit.
5,000?
$5,000 a month. And thank God the production company's paying for it.
That ain't cheap. Yeah, for those that are wondering, his oldest daughter is on location doing a movie set. That's why she
Movie
is there.
shoot. Yeah.
Moving a movie shoot.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why she is there.
That's why she's there.
And you highlighted that on Wednesday's show. She's doing the makeup tattooing, right?
Yeah, technically it's called a makeup, but it's really special effects. So,
Okay.
So these are, they paint on, hand paint on head tattoos and face whatever she's doing on that. And it's a it's a one and done. When it's done that day, the next morning it's in. Part of the reason why little Harry's with us for this week, she's on the overnight shoots
Well, and it's spring break.
in the spring break.
Spring break in Connecticut, right?
Spring break in Connecticut.
Did you learn anything about yourself with your grandson here for a week?
I'm pretty freaking awesome grandfather.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's from him, not from me. I wanted him to come in today, but
Why didn't you want to come
he
in?
he got shy.
Okay, did you tell him he was going to be on the show?
I told him he was going to be on the show. He was gonna
We
be
would
on-
gladly have welcomed him.
we know we call it TV.
Yeah.
That he was going to be on.
That's what our son
TV.
calls it.
But and he, God love him. He looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, I like hanging with Gigi Mom more than you, 'cause you make me work." So.
John Blair, welcome to the show. We appreciate
John.
you, JB.
So speaking of which, we're going to have a hard stop here in a little while. 'Cause
Well, I totally understand.
I gotta take a little guy up to DC to get on the train here.
Put in perspective how a realtor manages his or her weekend.
Oh, this weekend's?
That's your busy time. A lot of folks don't realize.
No, you know, I've told somebody this on Monday. I would rather have you call me on a Sunday afternoon, right, or a Sunday morning, or a Saturday. This is me personally, than saving up all your questions for Monday morning. Because on Monday morning, you get a half a dozen people say, well, I didn't want to bother you on a Saturday and a Sunday. Our world, we work 7 days a week, right? I don't even call it work. We do what we do 7 days a week. It's all about taking care of the client. It's what we do. And I would much rather have a meeting or a phone call on a Saturday or on a Sunday because we got a little bit less pressure from other folks. But anyway, just like today, when you were in your meeting, I was signing paperwork for a deal, and Bill Tucker, God love him, sent his paralegal over here to sign paper. We're doing on the side of the street, you know, a deal in what is it called? Come on.
Notarized?
Notarized. Thank you.
Yeah.
You knew what I meant.
Notary on a mobile notary.
We were.
Where's the weirdest place you sign a contract?
Oh.
Not weirdest, but best story, best setting for a contract signing. I'm talking outside the traditional setting.
I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think what I can actually talk about. Did one in a bathroom once.
Yeah?
In a men's bathroom once.
Okay.
That probably goes up to the weirdest.
Why in the men's bathroom? You're going to tell that story?
We were. It was a commercial deal, right? I was going one way, he was going the other way. We're in the same building. I said, man, I got to take a leak. He says, man, I got to take a leak. And we did what we needed to do. We leaned on the sink, signed everything, notarized everything, went away. Because the notary also happened to be a male. So the three of us were in a bathroom. That would probably be the most weirdest.
Your weekend plans besides Harry and the train?
Oh, thank you. Yona's running the Monument 10K tomorrow.
Yona, you're amazing.
Yep, she's running the Monument
She's
10.
been doing a lot of races.
You know,
Good job, Yona.
I'm loving it. This is her last race. Then after that, it becomes about me, because I've got a couple of 100-mile races. I got to do the one up. So May, by the way, is going to be I may be out a few shows because I'm going to be traveling, riding some races. But yeah, God love her. So her, Yvonne, my son-in-law Houston are running it, and pivoting from grandson number 1 to granddaughter number 2, watching her. So I'm in charge of watching Ravenna while they're running. We'll see.
Pop Dad is
Busy Pop Dad.
busy, and you're missing your Tavla date.
Yeah. You know, to be honest, budget's kind of telling that a little bit too.
What's that?
My budget's kind of telling me,
Yeah.
just to be honest. I love the place, but you know, I have this generous heart, and sometimes I buy people drinks that are around me, and
there you go.
and you know, hey honey, I'm just going to go stop and say hi to the guys, have a drink, and unwind and come back. And she goes, well, there's $300.
Here's a good way to close the program from Matt Hines. Matt Hines says this for Keefe specifically. He says, I am curious. Hold on one second, Matt Hines. I'm curious if Keith thinks it's feasible for the compensation to be based on offer price. Example, seller offers 3% for full asking, then maybe 2 to 2.5% for anything below asking. Good question, Matt.
Good question. I think we need to retool it a little bit, because when he says asking, so I'm representing the buyer.
I tagged you in that comment if you want to respond.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to respond now if it's okay.
Yeah.
So I'm representing the buyer. I'm representing Jerry as the buyer. Our buyer broker agreement will have negotiating terms in it, and it could be whatever you want, right? It could be that if it's at price A, if we end up buying a house at price A, I've agreed to do it for X. If the house is at price B or C or Z, I will do it at Y. It's really now, that's that side of the equation. The seller might be offering eggs or percentages. Now that also has to be worked into the buyer-broker agreement to say that, okay, we've agreed on X eggs at X price point, and if the seller is offering greater than that, what do we do with the difference? So it's all transparency. Who's the gentleman's name?
Matt Hines, Hines. Matt.
So Matt, this is all about not.
And you're tagged in the thread.
Thank you. It's all about what you negotiate with your agent on the buyer broker side. That's what, and it's always been there. It's just never.
It's a little clearer now.
Well, it's just never been talked about.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. It hasn't been talked about across a big swath. Those of us that have been doing it for a long time have always talked about it, right? And many people talk about it. There were certain that didn't. There were certain bad actors that didn't. Certain bad actors that never let their client know, oh, by the way, the builder's paying me. And, my conversation with that all the time is I'm this is going to get myself into trouble.
I know where you're going.
So here's my buyer broker agreement. The builder's paying me. I'm going to be at the table the whole way. I'm going to walk. This is the service I'm going to provide to you on that. Oh, by the way, I'm a recovered developer and builder. We're going to do a new construction walkthrough. While we're on that subject, most buyers don't know that you are allowed, if agreeable, everybody agrees to it, but typically you're allowed to get a home inspection on new construction. If you don't have an agent representing you, or don't have an agent that's engaged in it, the builder's not going to,
of course,
do that.
Yeah.
So, both hearing aids are dead. I have no idea what you're saying.
Are you seeing a lot more subdivisions?
Hey, look at you with the lips. Look at you.
I'm trying to. So you lip read. Are you seeing a lot more subdivisions coming in Fluvanna, going down towards Columbia and Ferncliff? Also, any new construction heading Route 20 towards Scottsville? I just put in.
Thank you for being so enunciating your words so I can read your lips.
I'm your friend.
There you go. The short answer, no new construction, no new developments in Fluvanna County. You might see some by right stuff, right, which is very minimal in size. There's nothing on the horizon. Pretty much what's working through the cycles right now is what you're going to see.
What you're going to see.
Believe it or not, I think you might see some upticking in Albemarle and Charlottesville. They've actually, using the word friendly is maybe a bit of a stretch, but there's paths forward. Look at me, huh? There's paths forward in Albemarle County. There are no paths forwards in Fluvanna, politically, paths. There's no paths available in Greene County politically. Louise is getting there.
Louise is definitely getting there.
On it. But yeah. So 11:14, got to run.
Yeah. He's on a train, hopping a train to DC with his grandson.
No, I'm not hopping a train. I'm driving.
Ah.
I'm picking up little Harry here as soon as we walk out the door, driving to DC, dropping him off at Union Station because my daughter, if anybody wants to know this, my daughter is taking a train from Philly to DC to pick him up. Then she's taking a train at 3:30 from DC to Connecticut. Then turning around on Sunday, taking a train back to Philly. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Then I'm driving
to DC tomorrow.
No, I'm driving, turning around, coming back, dropping the kid off at 3:30. I'm turning around in DC traffic on a freaking Friday, on an FF, on a freaking Friday. This is how much I love my family.
I know.
On a freaking Friday, driving in DC out of freaking DC.
On a Friday.
On a freaking Friday. Not at freaking
Tavola
having a drink.
We get the impression. We get the point here. We wish you luck. You're a good.
Well, when I start getting like north of Culpeper,
I know.
I become a New Yorker.
Stressful.
No, I become a New Yorker.
The traffic. Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith, online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Keith Smith is the man. His firm, Yes Realty Partners, folks you can count on to get you through the closing and beyond. Judah Wickhauer, the man behind the scenes. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining
It's on
us
your shirt.
on Real Talk with Keith Smith. What's that?
Nothing.
So long, everybody.
I'm being stupid.
Take care.
Nobody made me eat my crayons today.
No one made you eat your
$1,000. I'll eat a crayon live.
Was there a Muppet or a Sesame Street character that eats the crayons? I'm pretty sure there is.
$1,000. I'll eat a crayon live.